So, Lance made a response to my video in the form of a podcast. He made a video as well, but the video is just basically a plug for the podcast, so I'm just going to do the podcast. So, I'll respond to it as I go through. Let's go.
Okay, it's an emergency.
Okay, already I have to say, like, if this is your idea of emergency, Jesus fucking Christ.
I said I'd take a break from YouTube, but I found out that Professor Curious has uploaded a video. I'm currently 16 minutes in. This is kind of interesting, but yet not as interesting. But he knows he listens to my podcast. Yeah.
I don't listen to your podcast because it's complete shit. I've listened to like one or two of your podcasts, and I honestly hated it.
Yeah.
Effect on people. A Twitter user by the name of Cute Little EV1 has apparently blocked him on Twitter and has privated most of their account. From what I can tell, they're a sexual Pokemon role player, which is a bit weird, but whatever. Still, if this is what they do for a hobby, I wonder what the fuck Lance could have said or done to make this person, a person who happily gets bored every day, get legitimately creeped out and block him. And I also don't know if their account was public before Lance got involved with it.
I could say that I was a nice person toward him until I said something I shouldn't say, because I'm trying to be careful on what I say. But this is an emergency podcast.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out a sec. Okay, you could say that, but you'd be lying out your ass. But what did you say that you shouldn't say? You still haven't answered that question. Like, you could have defended yourself there with the truth if the truth didn't make you sound bad. And the truth was, you said something that creeped them out. I would like to know what that thing was. I mean, you're not obligated to tell me, but I would very much be interested to know what the hell you could have said to this weird guy who enjoys being fucked on Twitter to freak him out. I mean, I read what people sent to this guy on Twitter, and yeah, he deals with some weird people quite happily. So what did you say and do, Lance? I'd like to know.
Because this person is...
Oh, by the way, I'd like to take an aside to say, if you want, you can subscribe to Lance's podcast and pay money for this content. This brilliant, sweeping, dragging feet and chewing content of Lance's. You can have that for money if you are feeling unwell in the head.
I don't know, honestly. Wait, what happened to the book? I removed it. The book is gone, yes.
Quick, burn evidence.
Anyways, this is a podcast about Professor Curious. He decided to make something about me.
I'll give
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, the fucking title and everything says that, but whatever.
Lance the benefit of the doubt and assume that it wasn't, or that it wasn't anything to do with Lance and it went to private. But can you blame me for going down this path with my train of thought?
Actually, the more I know about Lance, because believe it or not, I found some more stuff on Lance, and quite honestly, I do think it is Lance's fault that this person went private on Twitter. Because, quite honestly, I've heard some darker stories about Lance going back further into the past, which suggest, yes, Lance is this level of obsessive and weird.
This got dark.
These people are sensitive,
Yeah, I did.
and when you meet them, please treat them with respect, like how I tried to treating them with respect, but in the end I get turned down so they don't like me anymore. You see, I've seen a number of ways that Lance treats people, and I can assure you, I've never seen him treat anyone with respect. Even when he's being nice, it's usually for some sort of gain, whether it's sexual gratification.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Where is he getting this shit from?
Just from watching you, really. From watching those interviews you did with those people where you said, I want you all to be my friend, and if you're not my friend, then I'm going to continue being this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to cry and all this. And you tried to guilt trip people into being your friend. And you always try to be friends with people, like in this book, who you feel can advance your career or your clout or whatever. And that's the wrong reason to try and make friends with people.
He's coming up with this. He's coming up with it in his own head.
No, I'm not. Because the stuff I found since, which I'm not going to talk about it directly, because I don't really want, because this stuff's really old, and I don't want Lance to suddenly start, going after these people again. But yeah, Lance has a very, very long history of this shitty behaviour. Before even the events of this story, he did this stuff I've heard. So, you know what, if I ever met the people involved in this story, that would be a fun conversation.
Clout or financial gain, he sees friendship more as networking, people as a way to elevate his status. You can't even hate the guy without him trying to leech off of you in such a way. Gage actually found this out the hard way now that Lance just constantly brings him up for no reason.
And I walked away. Not to mention I walked away. I took a break. But now I have to make this emergency thing.
Okay, one, you don't have to make this. I didn't end my video by putting a gun up to your dog's head and say, make this stupid shitty podcast, or I'm gonna kill the dog. Also, Lance insists that I broke his break, despite the fact that he's been making content this whole time. Yeah, he's been making content throughout October. So, he's been taking a break from YouTube, maybe, but not from not from the podcasts, which is where he does most of his shit posting anyway. Thing is about that is I didn't know about this break, and I don't really care. I started this project in August, like the last week of August, and I wrote the script in September and didn't get a chance to record and edit until basically last week when I uploaded the thing. So, no, I didn't know about your break, and if I did know about it, I wouldn't give a shit, because if you were truly on a break, you wouldn't know. And if you did know, you'd stick to your break and not make this bullshit, but you still made it because you're a fucking idiot.
Emergency video.
Effort to get some.
How is it an emergency video? A, it's not video, and B, how is this an emergency, and how does you making this video make the emergency any less of an emergency? Lance logic.
Out of it. Lance also put out a few false allegations about several of his critics, attempting doxing campaigns, false flagging campaigns.
No, that is not true.
It is true, and I'm glad you said that, because I can now segue to this. This is a privacy violation that I got on my video, and it says privacy violations from 5 minutes in to 20 minutes in. The 5-minute mark to 20-minute mark are no different from the 0 to 5-minute mark or the 20-minute mark to the 25-minute mark, yet Lance takes umbrage with that 15 minutes specifically. That 15 minutes which does not give away a single ounce of Lance's personal information. I did not give anything of Lance's away. I know a lot of Lance's personal information. It's all over the internet. My grandmother knew it. I met guys who randomly have it tattooed on their arse as full docs because it's that common knowledge. But I've not shared any of it. All the information I've shared on these videos is information that can be found on Lance's channel or on other channels, publicly. I haven't dug deep into anything private or personal, and that privacy violation thing that he submitted, that was a case of perjury, which is illegal, you dipshit. Also, as far as the other thing, yes, you have tried to dox Gage. Because when Razortooth sent you that shit about the house, you basically tried to threaten Gage with his docs and say, this is your house, yeah, I know what your house is, yeah. I don't know why on earth you would say that to someone who is in the know. I'm not new to this, Lance. I've been listening for a while. I've just not said much. But yeah, you actually had what you believed to be Gage's docs, and you threatened him with it. So don't give me that shit, and don't give me that shit about, oh, I don't do false flagging campaigns, because you have done. You've falsely flagged a lot of people, including myself, over this video.
No. No, you can't pin this bullshit on me.
Oh, I can, and I will.
Well, in fact, if you listen to his podcast about Turd Boy Andrew Velasco's fiascos, you notice how quickly he reacts and how strongly he reacts as well. He listens to a few words at a time and then does something utterly crazy as a result, a lot like Jared was. Be careful when...
Except I'm not Jared. I'm a completely different person.
No, actually. Jared Wars is a different person to Jared. And really, no, you aren't that different from Jared Wars. You're just as much of a dick. Stu Dog, who has dealt with Jared Wars a lot, said that you reminded him of him. Because you do. You remind a lot of people who know who Jared Wars is of Jared Wars, because Jared Wars is a nutty, weirdy-beardy stalker just like you.
These people, I warn you. I think I'm pretty safe because my clown makeup is locked away, firmly in the drawer. Be kind and treat them with respect. Shouldn't you do that regardless? The way that...
Don't mind the wails of the damned in the background, by the way. That's on Lance's stream, by the way, not on my end.
Yo, this is terrible. I wanted to take a break for a year.
Yeah, this podcast is terrible. You should take a break for a year.
And then if he responds back, yeah, that's a problem.
Says that, it sounds like that's the exception rather than the rule. It's also not kindness or respect if it isn't genuine. You're just taking the piss then. Me, unfortunately, I lost respect to them due to my actions.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put his video in the description as well.
Why are you pausing your podcast to say this fucking useless shit that no one cares about?
Alright. In response to this character, because he's decided to open me up and try to read my brain.
Yeah, it was a blank book. If I tried to read your brain, if I tried to read your brain, all I'd hear is fucking static.
Not to mention that he's not a mind reader.
If I was a mind reader, again, all I'd hear is fucking static. I'd probably get a headache myself.
And I make this podcast right now.
You're making it.
About Professor. You know how to spell? I can't spell for crap.
Yeah, result. My name's so complex it protects me from dyslexic people. Uh-oh.
This is supposed to be kept private.
It was meant to be kept private. That's why I wrote a book about it and published it online publicly. Do you know how fucking stupid that sounds?
No. Let's get back to this dumpster fire.
You don't want to fucking talk about dumpster fires. I mean, seriously, you are a fucking human equivalent of a dumpster fire. I'm surprised your fucking persona isn't a dumpster fire itself. Like, you literally dress up as a dumpster that's on fire. Actually, you know what? I'd like to see that as a persona. If I ever become a furry, that'll be my persona.
There's nothing unfortunate or new about that. It's unfortunate that they went through it, that they had to be exposed to you on any level, but it's not unfortunate that you paid for it. Nobody pities your mistake, just your ignorance. This was my story. I hope you enjoyed.
Think I could just outrun this?
Why is Minecraft Steve walking around in the background? And why is he a zombie?
And stay off and not make an upload on YouTube, but this is unfortunate. Think you could just run away, yeah, and never upload again. So, shoot. Yeah. It feels like I'm in a corner, you know, I don't know how to get out of this. And you decide to make a video about me without my permission.
I don't need your permission to fucking criticize you. First Amendment. Your country's constitution gives me that right. YouTube itself gives me that right. I can criticize you all I want. So long as it's valid goddamn criticism.
I did. I very much did. Here's a screenshot of them blocking me on Twitter.
That's hilarious.
Sad, isn't it? Nope. Lance has a few similarities to past Purgatory highlights. Jared Wars, for example, he reminds me a lot of it. He does things without thinking about. He doesn't care about his audience's time or their general enjoyment, and he treats people horribly, or sometimes just uses people for his own ends. Again, this is another trait that we saw in Stephen. He did something similar, and I'm pretty sure that Stephen Gandhi had a similar history on his browser. I won't be surprised. In all honesty, when you first see Lance, you find him pitiable. And some people legitimately don't understand why Lance is vilified so much. But the more you look into it, the more you see that he is obsessive, creepy, has no regard for anyone he's ever dealt with, and is willing to hurt people to get his way.
I wouldn't hurt anybody.
Oh, yes, you would. I mean, what example do I even go for? The fact that you tried to damage Gage's reputation and tried to flag him up as a paedophile without any proof? Or the fact that you try to hurt people's livelihoods by falsely flagging their stuff? The fact that several people claim that you've stalked them? The sexual harassment? Honestly, this stuff I wish I could talk about, but honestly, again, I don't want the people involved to get in trouble. Not after the Andrew fiasco, where Andrew basically started attacking people he believed to be my sources. I've got to be careful about that shit. I pride myself on that shit. And unfortunately, Lance is just permanently in an endless loop where he does stupid shit and it harms people and he doesn't care and moves on.
I would not hurt anybody.
Except for Gage. And DC.
I don't know where he's getting this bullcrap from.
Your own actions. In my presence. Didn't you also have a Discord server full of kids and then you started inviting people from Nathan Larson's inner circle? I've heard that mentioned a few times. That's interesting, Lance. What was that, like some sort of trafficking or something? What the fuck were you doing there, mate? Or are you just stupid? I don't know. But yeah, you hurt people. Even if it's unintentional, you do.
He just wrote the script. You know, I had his video to the camera roll, but I'm not going to do that though. Reaction to his video, because, you know, he could like copyright claim that in.
Okay, one, I can't copyright claim camera roll. And two, Even if I could, in theory, like, I wouldn't, because I'm not a false flagging moron like you. I actually respect people's rights to respond and to criticize the criticism. And if you use my video in your video response to my video, that would be a case of fair use, and I would respect that. I've never false flagged anyone. I've flagged one person in my 6 years on YouTube, and that's because that person, for copyright, and that's because that person actually took my video, downloaded it, and re-uploaded it to their own channel, and I used a copyright takedown for that, which I didn't fully even file, but that was the closest I did. I didn't fully file it because I'd have to dox myself to do that, and I didn't feel like doing that. For that individual, so I just let nature take its course, and the guy shut his channel down eventually anyway. So yeah, I don't false flag. If you want to feature my videos in a fair use format, I will accept that every time. But if it's not fair use and you just re-upload my shit, I'm taking it down.
Yeah, that would be bad. You know what? I'm just gonna make emergency upload. An emergency upload, yes. And I'll put his name in the title, a response to him, and I'll have this linked podcast down below of my opinions, what I think about this. You know, this is not good. This is like putting more of pressure on me when I said that I'd walk away and take a break.
I mean, I don't religiously follow you, so I didn't ever hear you say that. But also, I don't understand how a lore video, something you did in ancient dinosaur times, is putting more pressure on you. You could have just ignored it and carried on and said, okay, yeah, I'm dealing with shit and I'm trying to change, but clearly you're not trying to change because you've just gone and done what you would have done anyway.
Yeah, this is not good.
My honest take on Lance, based on just my own observations, is that I think Lance, to get famous, to get what he wants, would do literally anything. I don't think he has boundaries. And if he does, I don't think he's afraid to overcome them. I don't think he'd be afraid to step over them. His Macbeth moments would be very short-lived. Lance is very capable of some sick shit, whether it's doxing, whether it's hanging out with a bunch of... I mean, he hung out with this one guy, Nathan Larson, who is now in prison for child trafficking. And Lance...
And again, I wouldn't do this stuff.
Except you did.
I hate bad people, and I want these bad people to, like, not stop doing bad things, but...
Wouldn't that be best for everyone?
I don't know, he's pulling his stuff out of his ass all of a sudden.
No, the Nathan Larson stuff definitely happened. You confessed to it yourself. There are lots of interviews about that shit. I'm more than happy to link them in the description in case you've forgotten, need a reminder. Also, why did you then say in a later podcast, if Nathan Larson ever talks about you and your name comes up, you're screwed? That's an ill omen, Lance. What did you do? If you're as innocent as you say you are, Nathan talking will not be that big of a problem. But I think you've done more than you say. I have been listening and I have been watching, Lance, and I have talked to some people, and I know a lot more than you would like me to. I'll just say that much. Believe me when I say I'm not pulling anything out of my ass. The Purgatory series as a whole is always based on things that I am very sure of. If I'm not sure, and I can't prove anything, I don't use it. And the only reason why I didn't use more video footage in this was simply because I was acting up. I wasn't acting up, sorry, my internet was acting up, and I couldn't download videos to use for the video. And that was basically the biggest reason why I didn't have as many receipts as I wanted. So yeah, that was basically the biggest issue for me. But I still don't feel like I need it because those videos exist. And those videos show you for who you are. And this podcast shows you for who you are as well.
We did do research, right?
Insists that he didn't want to be there, but he was there for a while. he interviewed Nathan on his podcast. He was in Nathan.
And I later took it down? Does that tell you something?
Yeah, it shows you're trying to cover your tracks because you did something fucked. That's why you take the interview down.
I delete that podcast because I didn't want to attract any bad trouble.
Oh, so it wasn't that you felt like it was bad or that you felt bad for it. You just didn't want the trouble that came with what you did. I get it.
In a circle for a time. And that is a bit of a red flag. And bear in mind, he only left because Nathan kicked him out.
No, I left on my own. I left on my
That's not always the way you tell it.
own, okay? Not because someone kicked me out. I decided to leave and run away.
Now he insists that he has to leave and Nathan got angry. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe that still, because if I said to Gage right now, Gage, I'm in your server, I don't... Like, I wouldn't ask Gage to leave. I would just say, I'm leaving, and just... Well, in fact, no, I wouldn't even say that. I'd just drop out of the server. If I felt that their behaviour was so... Or Hatman, or any of those people whose servers I'm in. If I was in those servers, and I felt that I didn't want to associate with those people anymore because they were child trafficking or some shit, I would be like, okay, I'm just dropping out. That's it, I'm gone. Click, gone. I wouldn't make a final goodbye speech unless I felt like I needed to say something before I left, and I wouldn't feel the need to ask permission. Now, apparently Lance says that his account, apparently he needed to ask permission for it to close. This was the case with Odyssey, so I think that is plausible. But how Lance couldn't have just abandoned the account or wrote, changed like everything possible to say abandoned account or whatever. There's loads of ways Lance could have handled it without making a spectacle of himself, and he chose the spectacle route as usual.
No, I believe it. Or for me, I don't trust you making a video about me, but
Of course you believe it, because you're saying it. That is the stupidest fucking thing ever. Also, you don't trust me because I made a video about you. Okay.
believe it.
Of course you believe it because you fucking... You said it. It's your bullshit. Of course you're gonna believe it. If you don't believe your own bullshit, that's a whole new level of fucked.
Either he has to leave in an appropriate way, in which that
I was actually kind of nice and kind. I was like, can I please leave? I was saying something like that. I don't quite remember it.
Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure you did something else. In fact, that more or less confirms it. You did something else.
possibly be the case. Or he fucked up so royally that Nathan turned on him. Maybe.
I think that's the one. I think what happened was that Lance said or did something that he shouldn't have, and got some attention put on Nathan or something like that maybe. And I think Nathan was like, oh shit, this guy's a liability, cut him loose now. I think that's what happened. I think Lance honestly was not going to leave up until that point, but that's just my take on it. That's just my theory. You see, that's... knowing what I know, that fits pretty well.
He became a liability. I don't know. I don't know what the story is. I don't think we'll ever know unless Nathan decides to tell it. But if Nathan Larson ever gets out of prison or gets time in front of a microphone, I think Lance's name will likely come up.
Well, that depends if he goes to court.
He will go to court. Everyone who's arrested goes to court in the United States. You have free trials in the United States. So yeah, he's gonna go to court, Lance.
And if he does end up in court, I'm screwed. I'm done.
Why? If you're so innocent, why would you be screwed? And why would you be done? That is interesting. That is a very interesting slip. It's not even a slip, he just outright outed himself. That is interesting to me though.
Another thing that I've noticed about Lance, and it's highlighted quite well here, is that he can attach himself to you. He can grow obsessed with you. And when he does, he can try a number of strange tactics, a number of, quite frankly, scary tactics. He might copy you, he might try to become you, he might follow you around.
All I gotta do is say, be yourself, don't be anyone else.
He might try and
So why did you impersonate Gage?
wiggle his way into your inner circle. Lance is the first person in the Purgatory series.
Wait, hold the fuck. I've just remembered. Didn't you say that you wanted to become like Cass and Gage at one point? And that's why you impersonated them? Because you wanted to become them? Do you remember that? I remember that.
Who I honestly think can do a lot of harm to a lot of people because people will underestimate him. It reminds me of that one episode of Rick and Morty where Rick tells Jerry that he's dangerous because he's so pathetic. He lures people in and puts them in danger. And that is Lance. A lot like Jeremy. People go in giving him sympathy and he ensnares them and makes them pay for it in some capacity. This man has no remorse for his actions. He does.
Actually, I do have remorse. I'm very remorseful now while making this podcast.
Yeah, you're remorseful when you get caught. Because you got caught.
Again, you're making lies up, and you're
It's not a lie. It's conjecture at worst. Accurate deduction at best.
piling lies.
It's not lies.
That's what you're doing. You're just making something up, which doesn't connect to anything. You think things that can be connected.
Everything can be connected. Honestly, if I made one of those wacko conspiracy theorist rope dot things boards, I don't know what they call them. If I made one of them on you, oh my god, that would be an impressive sight.
That's not right. No.
You know what's also not right? Child trafficking, but your buddy did that.
Care what you go through because of him. And he, quite frankly, would betray you for a stack of French porn, to quote Blackadder. He said he's flip-flopped.
Not porn, it's corn. Corn, like popcorn, you know?
Are you fucking stupid? It's a Blackadder quote. Right, okay, let me settle this. Hold on. No, fuck off Google. Not now. Big boy time. Blackadder agrees to fight the Duke in the Prince's place in exchange for the Prince's entire fortune, an amusing clock, and a stack of French porn. He offers him his own mother for a ton of cash, an amusing clock, and a sack of French porn. It's actually a stack, But personally, I'd mud wrestle my own mother for a ton of cash, an amusing clock, and a stack of French porn. Edmund Blackadder. That was the quote, Lance. No corn. I don't know what the fuck you're on about. Idiots. Why is he... Why does he talk when he has no idea what the fuck he's saying?
You know, I'm not going to watch this part, you know? You have to
Yeah, you've not been paying attention so far. Why would you now?
watch, it's important. I'll be right back to give more opinions about this guy. You know, he just done pissed me off.
Aw.
Emergency upload to YouTube. Yes, I know. Okay, so I just finished his video. Kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, you are a disappointment.
I didn't like that at all.
I'm glad you didn't like it.
That'd be something positive. I give him credit.
Oh, okay, so you just don't like people saying negative shit about you. You know what, if you want people to say positive shit, do something good that's worth positivity.
But that wasn't a positive message. That was more like a negative message.
Maybe you should reflect. That's how people see you.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's not unfortunate, you deserve it.
Professor Curious, if you are listening to this,
I am, unfortunately.
you are not the best person.
I never professed to be. No pun intended.
You are most likely how do I say this? A pest.
Aww. Butter me up, why don't you?
You are like the cockroach. That's
That's the nicest fucking thing a retard's ever said to me. Thank you.
what you are. Someone you can't get rid of unless they put down traps. You
No, traps don't work on me. Very rarely do they work on me.
cockroach. Not mean to insult you.
You're a cockroach and a pest, but I don't mean to insult you, okay? I just compared you to the most disgusting animal on the planet and said you're a pest, but it's not an insult.
But you think you can just upload a video and talk about that?
Because I can. I'm protected under your fucking constitution to do that and my own.
And try to go over my situation.
Which you made public in a public book. When you write about your experiences and publicly publish them, that makes them fair game for critique.
And, this is unfortunate because I wanted to take the break that I deserve.
You don't deserve a break, and you can still take that break.
To find ways and
You're just using me as an excuse to go back to what you were doing. I haven't broken your break. You broke your break because you wanted to.
method to my madness, where I
There is none.
could just find help. So
Well, get help. Oh wait, no, you went on your stupid little talking robot on your phone and asked that for help. And then paid it money to say that it loved you.
can help myself.
You can't help yourself. You've been trying that for months and it doesn't work.
He didn't let that happen. So now, it's come to my attention to upload a video. I know, right? Yeah. Kind of sad, honestly.
Yeah, you are sad.
And I don't agree on the things he said.
That's fine. I don't
think
care.
People like me should get help, find help,
Get it then. Find it.
and it's not right. Wasn't right to begin with. It's truly messed up because I don't feel the way he feels about me.
Of course you don't, because you're you. Few people are the villains of their own story. Except for me, I love playing the villain.
He thinks I'm a nobody, like everyone
I mean, you are.
else, Yeah. This isn't the best response in a video one could give.
You fucking think?
This is more like a terrible response.
Yep.
A response that doesn't even the playing field out.
It really doesn't now.
Of course, he didn't say what I would say, but he don't let the audio of my video play. He just gives his own opinion. Yeah.
And that's all she wrote.
Now, I think it's
No, I don't care about that. Right, so that was part 1. I don't know what else to say. We're going to be moving on to part 2. Because part 2 is just as fucking crazy, but now it's 38 minutes long instead of 16. Oh lordy.